Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I am your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be tackling quite a bit today. We got some more Pega Academy to go through. Got to work on that certification there, folks. We got some Unreal tutorials to continue, and um, we'll see if Unreal has some additional programming errors. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Um, and then, we had, some more videos to upload. And then later on today, we got Genshin Impact to tackle. So that's the lineup for today. Um, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, hopefully uh, you like what, these videos are all about and will help me out with the YouTube algorithm. But you're always welcome to join me in the chat as well if you want to, seeing that these are coming from a live stream. So, um, okay, so who am I? What are these videos about on concerning the Pega certification and, all that jazz? Okay, so first off, I am currently an unemployed software developer whose last job was actually dealing with the Pega environment. We were taught by a um, authorized training partner. Well, I say taught, but by the end, pretty much everybody, if not everybody, was doing self-study. Um, it was pretty bad. Um, the coworkers knew how bad it was, but nothing was really changed. We asked to, there were some of us that felt like we weren't getting much out of it and wanted to ask to be placed back into training, but they didn't do that. So, um, the one time that they basically forced me to take the certification, and that was the only time that I took it, and I failed it because I definitely was not ready for it. But um, the afterwards, it kind of fell on me to try to take it and pass it afterwards. Would have been helpful if I had, more of a mentorship, but that didn't really happen very much. Um, so that's where I'm at. That's where we are at on these videos right at this moment in time. I'm taking my time out, doing these streams to kind of keep me focused on getting to the goal of getting the certification for the um, for the system architect certification, um, so that I might be able to put it on the resume and say, hey, I have this, please hire me. Um, so it's taken a while because, well, there's a lot to cover. Now, you know, um, for those of you that are watching this and you're wondering who I am, or a little bit more about me, know that I'm not an authorized training partner, and this is not meant for instructor-led training. These individuals should be very well um, knowledgeable about Pega, should be able to teach you, the ins and outs of everything about Pega and get you fully prepared for the certification, um, so that you can hopefully pass it with these. Um, Now, if you want to take the instructor-led training, then go ahead and do so. From what I understand, it's a 2-week course and it costs about $5,000. So be prepared for that if you're not already aware. It is not it's not exactly cheap. Um, but I mean, if you take it, if you study hard, if you're basically constantly studying the subject material, going over your notes, your videos, asking questions, and so on and so forth, and you probably will pass your certification. At least, one would hope, right? So, but that's your end goal. Now, if those of you that are watching are part of the Pega Academy, maybe you are a lead, maybe you are a senior, I welcome you to continue watching these videos because I'm going to have some questions. If there's any people that are watching these that are also working on their certification, they might have some questions. So um, please help us out by, either answering my questions so that they are informed, or answer, any of the comment questions, so, um, so that they are informed, and I am as well. So, I don't, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to answer every single question that gets posted to me concerning the Pega environment. So, I'm not that, I'm not nearly as knowledgeable as what I would expect a lead or a senior might have, um, but I mean that's you know um, I would hope that we can try to work on this community to help each other out to get to that end goal. The certification itself is, and, can be fairly tough. But know that you want to ask questions about previous versions as well. When I took it for 8.6, I was seeing Pega 7 questions in there. So don't get yourself caught off guard. Okay, study the earlier versions. Okay, ask questions about previous keywords. Even I don't know all the keywords from Pega 7 or before even that, so I don't know. It looks as though they're still using some of those keywords from time to time in their images and their paragraph language. So just be aware, um, what you might be facing. Okay. Um, Now, like I said, I am currently working towards my system architect certification. Okay, that is my main goal. Um, I did have an idea of maybe doing uh, trying to take the business architect certification test as well, just so, I can say that I have it. Um, but that's not my main goal. It might be a minor goal, maybe, but to be honest, I really don't want to be working as a business architect. My main goal is system architect. For those of you that are working for this business architect, the mission is done. We've already completed the 8.7 mission for business architect. So you'll have to go back through those old videos on my playlist for that. Um, these two modules, however, they are concerning the Pega Express delivery. Okay, so if you want to cover more about what those two modules are about, I would recommend the mission over here because those two modules are supposed to be covering 12% of the certification exam. I don't feel like they do a really good job, so cover the mission. That's my recommendation. So, um, but let's continue on with our system architect journey, shall we? Okay, so last we left off, I believe we've just finished accessing source data in a case. So there was one with a um, that looked like it needed to be done in an instance, in a challenge. So we might need to go back to that and tackle that at some point in the future. Um, but for the most part, we were okay. But obviously, this data page, that's going to need to be recovered. I'm pretty certain of it. I'm probably not going to be able to memorize everything that was given in that data page and In my particular opinion, they really should kind of take that topic and break it off into its own module because, my God, it was jam-packed. They need to break it off, provide more examples, discuss it more because what they did was a lot. So, but we're gonna move on. So we're on to the saving data to a system or record. 35 minutes, 3 topics. Ooh, savable data pages. They're saying 15 minutes. Yeah, that doesn't really bode well. Uh, quite a few images, and it is pretty jam-packed. So, um, but let's see what we can do with this, shall we? Okay, so savable data pages. So you can use savable data pages to save a page or a page list of data specified in a data pack based on its system of record, SOR, regardless of whether the SOR system record is Pega platform or Nessus system like an external database. By using a savable data page, you can configure an application to update the system record, SOR, in real time with case data. The savable data page can manage the transaction to ensure that both systems remain synchronized even if an error, such as network outage, occurs. For example, a company named TGB uses an external database as an system record to hold human resources data, including a database table that stores data about employee seating locations. During employee onboarding, an HR representative assigns employees to an unoccupied office or cubicle. Once the HR representative submits the seating assignment, the application updates the record for the seating location in the system record with the employee ID of the assigned employee to prevent another user from selecting the same seating location when onboarding another employee. So they give you a little example here. So they're saying, hey, we want to assign a seating location. Well, looks through the list of seating locations, pulls the one that it has not been assigned, shows said seating location so that they can select it, um, and then that blank location is now filled in with the current employee. Okay, and then you move on from that particular detail and then it saves it. Now, what happens when it's done at the same time? Don't know. That's something that will have to be handled either by Pega itself or, that might be something that, you might need to be aware of. What happens if someone selects that, exact same seat at the exact same time? So um, now um, now obviously if you're like dealing with like two different HR personnel, they might need to kind of discuss like where they can like what they should be aware of like what seats are already available. So and then they should manage like who can assign what to what seat. No communication between those two or HR personnel is going to lead to trouble anyway, right? So, but you never know. You never know what might happen. So, all right. So, data save plan. The data save plan for a savable data page and details how saves are performed. You specify the data save plan in the data save options. section of the savable data page. You can specify multiple save options, where each save option is associated with a when rule that determines when that save option is used. The data save options include database save, activity, connector, robotic automation, and robotic desktop automation. So you're probably going to need to know that. Just saying. Okay, this might be on the certification. Um, they're not necessarily, bolding the information, but it still might be something that you might need to see on the certification itself. So keep that in mind. When you want to commit to multiple data tables at a time, you can use when conditions in the data save plan. When the when condition evaluates to true, then the data committed is performed. When all the when conditions evaluate to false, then the otherwise condition is executed. Okay, in the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about the data save options. All right. Okay, they're actually covering all 5 of these, so that's good. The database save option saves a single page of data to a single database row in the configured system record. You can configure a data transform to source the information to write back to the system record. How the data page applies changes to the data is dependent on the data access settings on the property holding the data. This option maintains transactionality within the save operation when the data is saved. The database save option is available for data pages with a page structure only. Actually, let me go in the order on which they mentioned here. So we just covered the database save. So I'm going to cover activity next. Okay, activity. The activity option calls an activity to save the data. You can use this option to access a connector for pages managed by an external system record or for local save to the Pega platform database. You can use any supported integration connector option. Unlike the database save option, the activity option does not guarantee transactionality. Mm, and now I'm kind of wondering what exactly did they mean by transactionality. Hmm. Okay. Okay, well, let me look it up because I don't know exactly what they mean by that. Transactional. Let's see. The degree in which a database or other system is transactional. Okay, that doesn't really tell me crap. Of pertaining to involving transactions. Okay, we're getting a little bit more. We're getting closer to what we're kind of looking for. Um, Okay. Hmm. So this option maintains transactionality. So it it maintains the transaction information, or whether or not it can make that transaction from one to the other. Hmm. Strange that activity doesn't guarantee that either, though. Hmm. Okay, well, let's move on. We got connector next. So, okay. The connector option saves and persists data to an external system record by using a REST connector. Only REST connectors are allowed to use in the safe are allowed for use in the safe plan. Other connector types, such as SOAP, cannot be used in the safe plan. So, if anybody is kind of curious of what REST and SOAP is, well, I mean uh, even I have a hard time trying to remember like the specific details of both. Um, but they're, you know, they have references to um, like web access a little bit. Um, oh gosh. Um, Here, let me REST versus SOAP. Um, okay, so SOAP and REST are two different approaches to API design. The SOAP approach is highly structured and uses XML data format. REST is more flexible and allows applications to exchange data in multiple formats. So, um, SOAP, Simple Object Access Protocol, is standards-based web services access protocol that has been around for a long time. Originally developed by Microsoft, SOAP isn't as simple as the acronym would suggest. Um, I mean, um, SOAP relies exclusively on XML to provide messaging services. Microsoft originally developed SOAP to take the place of older technologies that don't work well in the internet, such as distributed component object model, um, DCOM, and common object request broker architecture, or CORBA. These technologies fail because they rely on binary messaging. The XML messaging that SOAP employs works better over the internet. As an initial release, Microsoft submitted SOAP for the Internet Engineering Task Force, where it was standardized. SOAP is designed to support expansion, so it has all sorts of other acronyms and abbreviations associated with it, such as WS addressing, or blah, blah, blah. Okay. Um, so X the XML used to make requests and receive responses in SOAP can become extremely complex. Some programming languages you need to build those requests manually, which becomes problematic because SOAP is intolerant of errors. However, other languages can use shortcuts that SOAP provides. They can help you reduce the effort required to create the request and parse the response. In fact, when working with .NET languages, you'll never see the XML. Okay. Now concerning REST, reference, um, representational state transfer is another standard made in response to SOAP's shortcomings to seek to fix the problems with SOAP and provide a simpler method of accessing web services. REST provides a lighter weight alternative. Many developers found SOAP cumbersome and hard to use. For example, working with SOAP in JavaScript means running a ton of code to perform simple tasks because you must create the required XML structure every time. Instead of using XML to make a request, REST usually relies on a simple URL. In some situations, you must provide additional information, but most web services using REST rely exclusively on using the URL approach. REST can use 4 different HTTP 1.1 verbs: get, post, put, and delete to perform tasks. Unlike SOAP, REST doesn't have to use XML to provide the response. You can find REST-based web services that output the command or data and command separated value as CSV, JavaScript, object notation, JSON, and really simple syndication or RSS. Okay, so that's a brief overview of SOAP and REST if you weren't already aware. So, connector, only uses the, REST connector. So, okay. Now we're going to go into robotic automation. Okay, so robotic automation option uses a robotic process automation RPA to write data to an external system or record. Okay. And the robotic desktop automation for the last one. Automation. Not animation. The robotic desktop automation option uses a robotic desktop automation RDA to write data to an external system record. So, and you have RDA and RPA. So, process and desktop. So, all right. Transactional handling. By using Savable data pages, you can write data to the SOR using Pega Platform's built-in transaction handling. Consider an example that does not use transaction handling. You purchase an item online and pay using your credit card. The bank processes your credit card payment, but the online store never receives a notification about a payment due to a network issue. When transaction handling, the payment and payment notification is performed in the same transaction. If part of the transaction fails, the changes to both systems roll back to the state before the update to either system was attempted. Your credit card is not charged and your order is not processed. You can trigger the save plan for the savable data page in one of 3 ways. Add a save data page automation step in the flow rule. Add post-processing to the flow action rule, and call the save data page method in the activity rule. When triggering the save from a flow or flow action, Pega Platform automatically manages the transaction. If you trigger the save from an activity rule, you can choose whether to save the data in conjunction with the rest of the transaction or independently as a separate transaction. Okay, so you can use savable data pages to write data only to external data sources. You can also do it to system records. So, okay. Data instance update and data instance creation. Auto-populated properties are page properties that automatically obtain data directly from specified data pages. These properties make the applications to build easier to manage and maintain, preventing the application from having to constantly monitor changes in key parameters, which are not always required and may slow performance. You can auto-populate a page or page list property by either referencing a data page or copying data from a data page. You can use a savable data page as the source of an auto-populated property or populated property. In this situation, Pega platform uses the data source section of the data page record to populate the property with data and the data save options section to update the data source. Caution: when you source an auto-populated property with a savable data page, refer to the property with the copy page from a data page option rather than the refer to the data page option. Using the refer to a data page option may lead to accidental overwrite of data before you trigger the save. Yeah, pretty near the end there. Use cases for savable data pages primarily involve accepting a value used to uniquely identify a record using lookup as the source. This value is usually to manually set key value or another unique string like an email address. The response data and transform handles any failed to find error by clearing the error and applying defaults to the page, usually by calling the pydefault data transform of the class. This sets up the record as new. However, when the value is not manually set, such as in the case with auto-generated keys, a savable data page can use a data transform as the data source. So we have page task is key value present and then the source. So updated data instance, key value present, yes, and then you use the source for the lookup, or you're doing a lookup for that. So creating data instance, the key value was not present, and you're using a data transform for that. Okay. Data save plans. You can configure a savable data page with multiple data sources and data save plans to support both creating and updating data records. For example, an auto-populate property contains account information for users sourced using a savable data page. User may be a repeat customer with a record on the system record, or a new customer intending to register and create an account record. The data save plan changes depending on if there is a record present. If a record for the customer is present within in the system of record, the data page can use a lookup to source values for the auto-populated property, passing the key value for the record as a parameter. The data page writes updates back to the system record using the database save option, again passing the key value for the record as a parameter. If no record is present in the system record, the data page sources values for the auto-populated property using a data transform and no parameter is passed. The parameter is omitted from the database save option as well. If the data page supports both create and update operations, you may need to ensure that any parameter for specifying a key value is optional rather than required. If the data source uses an auto-generated key passed by a required parameter, the database save option for creating the record requires a key value, causing an error that prevents the saving the data page record. So, as a best practice, add an index parameter to a savable data page used for creating records unless you intend to use an auto-populate by copy property. This avoids the guardrail violation and allows that data page to be used multiple times on the same screen. What are the two exact statements about data logging options for recording data pages? Oh boy. I blanked it. Okay. The database save option saves a single data page in a single database row in the configured SOR. Okay. You can configure a data page with only one data login option. I don't know about that. You can configure a data page with several recording options. I mean, those are pretty much counter to each other, so like one of these has to be an answer, right? Database save option saves a page list data structure in a single database row on the configured SOR. No, you don't really want that to happen. The activity data saving option is the best way to write data to external sources. Not really, because once again, you don't have the transactionality saved in there. So, so you might not want that. I think it's this one. I don't think you can do like, database save option, database, activity, connection, whatever, like, you can't use those like multiple times. So I'm gonna assume that it's this first one, but I don't know. Okay. So um so it's that one right there. And that one. There we go. You can specify several recording options. Each is associated with a when rule that determines when to use this recording option. Okay. Actually, I'm kind of wondering about that. On a second. Hold on. Several. Come again? Okay. Recording. I'm getting more values on that one, so Okay. Yeah, here it is. You can specify multiple save options where each save option is associated with a when rule that determines when the save option is used. So yeah. The problem is that they were using several recording options, not necessarily, recording and save are that's where it was like slightly different there. So okay. So once again, I got hit with, you know, um, different keywords being used, and but I mean, I still need to remember that anyway. So okay, well, that's gonna be it for today's Pega study session. I'm gonna go ahead and close on down here. With that, the next topic for Pega is the save data page automation. And it doesn't look that long, but I mean, I only got about 12 minutes left. Probably not going to be able to cover through all that, in that short amount of time. And plus, I might want to talk more about, what's in there. So I'm not gonna risk it. At least not until, um, I got the Unreal coming up later. So okay. So that's going to be it for today's Pega study session. If you're joining me right now on the live stream, I want to thank you for being here. Didn't really have any chatters, but that's okay. I'm still appreciating that you're here lurking and supporting me. Um, and if you're watching this later on YouTube, then if you can help me out with the YouTube algorithm, that would be fantastic. Check out the description for more links such as social media, Patreon, Throne, whatever, what have you. Check all the links that are down there and see if there's one that you might appreciate, might use, whatever, you know, whatever you want to do. And let's see. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Unreal is coming up in, well, several minutes. So stay tuned for that if you're on my live stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out that playlist. Going to be, you know, I've already started uploading videos to that playlist, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's Pega study session. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I catch you next time. Until then, take care, have a good night, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you strangers next time.